Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe. Merry Christmas as well. My guest tonight suffered a shocking defeat after wanting to lead the party once again as his General Secretary. This is in spite of emerging as the longest serving national officer of the governing New Patriotic Party. He is perhaps the only man who has held virtually every key position in his party, with the exception of course, being a national coordinator, women organizer, and a national chairman. He has served at the polling station all the way to constituency, to regional and to the national level. This is since 2001. He's been a national finance officer, national youth treasurer, national youth organizer, national communications director, and the list goes on and on, until recently general secretary, until delegates showed him the exit, denying him the opportunity to lead his party to attempt breaking the eight. What has he been up to after that? What does he make of the current crop of executives within his party and that of the largest opposition, NDC? Let's have a conversation tonight here on The Probe with John Boadu, former General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. He's been kind enough to spend his Christmas evening with us here on the Joy News channel. This is The Probe, live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, in Accra, on Joy News. We are on Joy 99.7 FM on radio. We're on myjoyonline.com, and all our social media platforms is on YouTube and several others, including our affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. I am Emefa Apawu, and this is The Probe. We'll take a quick break, and we're right back. Welcome back. This is The Probe on Christmas Day here on the Joy News channel. We're on Joy 99.7 FM. And by now, you know that my guest is a former General Secretary of the NPP, Mr. John Boadu, my guest in the studio. Welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of The Probe tonight. Christmas Day, but you're here with us. Merry Christmas.
Many happy returns. Thank you very much. I was surprised you said that I'm enjoying coming here today.
No. Are you not enjoying it?
Not really.
I promise to make it worth your while.
I felt that as part of our responsibility to ensure that our members get to listen to us and also get to know what we are up to. That's all the reason why I felt that Christmas Day, let me spend some time with you.
Okay.
One of the foremost radio stations in this country, and I don't think
we appreciate it. We totally appreciate your time. Adrinkesia is what they call you. I've heard widely people call you Adrinkesia. Many people know that why you're called Adrinkesia, but I'm sure some also do not know. Why are you Adrinkesia?
It's my boys who I remember in 2014 when I was contesting for the national organizers position. And you realize that most of the politicians have one name or the other. And they were suggesting to me that I should have one. I said, what's it for? John Boadu or JB? It's so simple. And they said they insisted. So they coined that drink. I said, maybe because of my relationship with them and knowing what I've been doing and the kind of problem-solving mind that I have. Maybe that's the reason why they decided to call me that. Okay. It looks like it's catch-up for some time. Yeah.
Since July, that's the day, July 16, that's when we had the national executives elections of your party. Since then, what have you been up to?
Oh, it's 16, 17. You know, this politics is like you join a church. I don't think that if you are a church or a president of the youth wing of a church, and at some point they decide that you should not be president alone again, you will not have anything to do. It is expected that as you continue to work for the church, you will also be charting your career, or you're doing your business or working to make sure that body and soul is kept going. So I've been going on with my private job that I do. I've been nursing over a period, and It's been suffering because of the politics, you know. So immediately after that, I have to put my heart together, concentrate fully on my private business. But you realize that per the constitution of our party, I'm still a member of the National Executive Committee, I'm still a member of the National Council, I'm a member of the National Annual Delegates Conference. That imposes on you a lot of responsibilities. You see, the party work is done not by just individuals. It's more of a group, team, committee work, so to speak. If I tell you the kind of people that does a lot of the magic you see, you realize that it's not just the leaders, you know. So there are a lot of work that I do in addition to my private work, just to put body and soul together. You recall that for some time now, the party has been in party government, party relationship with parliamentarians, government, and all that. And for some of us who have gone through the mill over years, we have associations in there, we have friends that we can call, we have people that you may think they are difficult, but we know how to deal with them. So we've been working behind the scenes to make sure that our party, our government is stable. So
okay. Well, these are issues that we'll definitely get into. But let me clear 16th and 17th off our table. Then we can get into all these other issues that are coming up. Was it a defeat you were expecting? Of course, you didn't go into the election hoping to lose, but were you surprised?
You see, as for politics and elections, you must always consider that it is not always win. It's possible you will lose. I've been in this national executive position for close to 20-something years. Started as young, a guy from the constituency to the region, became the national finance officer of the party.
Which I've enumerated earlier.
The National Youth Treasurer 2002, National Youth Organizer, continuously. And sometimes I get amazed, even the things that are here are so minute, considering the number of years that I've been in the party, working with people. You obviously will step on toes of people. You are taking decisions that you need to implement. You implement decisions and it affects people. You must take decision to go this direction. And that direction will obviously affect people. People don't, at some point, anything that happens in the party is John Boadu. Anything that people don't even remember that we have National Steering Committee, which the president is part of it, everybody is part of it. Okay. You have National Executive. Because you are the one who implements those decisions, it looks as if you are the one taking that decision. You understand? So, having been there for a very long time, if not because of circumstances, went into that elections with the national chairman not contesting again, the national organizer not contesting again, the youth organizer was moving up, the treasurer was moving. It looks as if almost all the executives were moving one direction or the other. So I felt that with the kind of investment that the party has done in me for all these years, I thought that it would have been appropriate to stay on at my own risk, because I have decided, because you are not only managing party, you are managing party and government. And there are things that, even if it is not your fault, you just have to also protect government. So matters of government and party, decisions of party and government all became as if I was the only national officer running the party from 2018 to 2020. And I didn't want to get into the challenges that the NDC went into, where decisions of committees, decisions of executives, because we are contesting, then you now come and try to explain yourself by getting people, singling out people, accusing people. That's the last thing I wanted to do. So in the campaign, even though I had a lot of misconceptions, misinformation, I decided that I won't go that route, because the kind of things I've done. You remember as far back as 2015, when I was the organizer, and there were some challenges in the party. I have to stay on, and I was given additional responsibility as the acting general secretary. As the acting general secretary, I'm in charge of the entire operations of the party. You understand? In addition to being an organizer, there are a lot of things that you do.
You would say you were an effective general secretary of the NPP.
You see, there are a lot of
why
things.
were you punished that way?
I'm saying it is a combination of a lot of things, and because of the interest of the party, I decided not to respond to a lot of the things. Because, for instance, if you are saying that, by 2016 we had 169 seats, not forgetting that when I took over we had only 106. So move it from 106 to 169. You are in government. There are a lot of government activities and programs that affect the fortunes of the party. I'm not now going to come out openly to say that because of X, Y, Z, it affected this constituency, and that's the reason why we lost. People who didn't even know what went into some decisions, just because of politics, decided to talk the way they went around the campaign. And I decided, in the interest of this, I've been working in this party for all this while, and most part of my work, I receive no allowance. Most parts, because in this party, it is only the national organizer and the general secretary who are full-time employees of the party. You understand? So it is until you get to that point. And even that, this is a voluntary organization. So you are not going to be employed as if you have some conditions of services.
But of course, it paid off, didn't it? For you can't say that it was just voluntary. So I'm told you're a very rich man. I'm told you made a lot out of it.
If you compare it with the risk involved in being in politics, it is better you are not. If it is money, then it is better you are not. Because you can remember, when we lost 2008 elections, I was then the national youth organizer. We were in opposition 2009 to 2012 to 2016. If you don't do your private business, how are you going to survive? So it's not just about money. No, if it's about money, some of us will not even get ourselves involved in this. Because eventually, everything that you get, if I tell you, let me show you my phone and the kind of monies that you have to transfer per day to just get people to also survive. It's just little contribution that all of us make. You understand? So it's not about money at all. It's about the interest, the passion, the understanding, the belief in the ideology of the party. I opted to be part of, particularly running the MPP administration or part of executive, right around 1998, 99 when I finished university. I was, like you're saying, I got a job. I was going to be operations director. It was around that time that the microfinance had started in this country. I had a very lucrative job with my car and everything. But considering how the economy was going, for instance, you remember it was in those days that the city was depreciating close to 50%, inflation is around 50-something%, interest rates around 50%, the entire economy from 1981 to the year 2000 had not grown. $4 billion 1981, $4 billion by the year 2000. So where are we going? You understand, the economy has not expanded over a very, very long time, or everybody is stifled and all that. So I feel that looking at the New Patriotic Party, considering the kind of leadership we had, in those days, you don't see young men leading the party. You go to meetings, people with coats, and you will not even be allowed. I said, no, why? Because there are a lot of youthful people who want to be part of the process. They want to see their kind also as part of the leadership of the party. That is why I opted to be part of it. And
so if I were to ask you briefly, who or what do you blame your defeat on? What would it be?
I will say that it is because of the larger interest of the party. That's why I also didn't say certain things that will have explained to people why we got where we were, where we're coming from. I looked at that and I felt that with all
So you blame it on your campaign style?
No.
Would it be your campaign style?
On myself and the difficulty we are in as a party in government.
Okay, so you blame yourself for your defeat.
And I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it because it is better to happen that way than to be selfish and come out to say the kind of things I could have said.
Okay.
You understand? Like what happened to the NDC.
Were your opponents unfair to you? Were your opponents unfair?
I won't blame him. I think that he also strategized, just also listening to what people are saying and just promise them that, So that's okay. I don't want to go into that, because you see, I know, maybe for some of them, they don't know that if you're a general secretary, you become a general secretary forever because you are a member of the National Executive Committee of the party forever, member of the National Council forever. Everything that you have to do, everything that you can do, you'll be able to do it in that position. So
what's your relationship with the current General Secretary, JFK?
Oh, he wasn't a friend, as in friend, you understand? They were youthful people who then was deputy organizer, youth organizer in Ashanti region. Okay. He's more closer to Samia Oku, for instance. So he's somebody that once in a while we meet and all that. And after elections, it's our official things that we discuss, you understand? So nothing has changed in terms of relationship. No, nothing has changed.
Okay. Well, you pledged your full commitment, amongst others, your dedication, assistance and support for the party's newly elected executives. I know you still hold certain positions you're talking about at the national level, amongst others. What really is your role? Have you been given a role in particular to play? Because I know you were leading this Breaking the AIDS agenda. And since there's a new executive in place, amongst others, what exactly is the role that John Boadu is playing to ensure that the NPP breaks the
I think it's early days yet. I don't know whether you are aware, just about a month or two ago, the national officers had an orientation and I was invited to take them to the organogram of the party, and I did so, and to their admiration. Like I said, I'm a member of the National Executive National Council. So as and when there's a need, because we are not in full-time campaign yet, but there are a lot, elections is a process, it's not an event. So there are a lot of things that need to be done. And I'm doing a lot. I don't want you to even know some of the things. I'm doing a lot of things behind the scenes because I started a lot of processes that will have to be continued. And we need to follow up, you understand? So specifically, if it's about designation, no, not now, but there are a lot of things that I have to do to ensure that the management of the party does not suffer at all.
Okay. So your commitment to bring to bear your experience and everything is still intact?
No, that's what I've no doubt. Because having spent all my youthful life and youthful days in doing such a risky job, risky because I remember towards 2016, even internally, the kind of challenges that we had said that we couldn't even hold steering committee meetings at our headquarters. We are going to meetings as if we are preparing for war internally. And we know that the then government was so happy about it to the extent that even the then president was mocking us. You can see clear hands of government involved in some of those things. Then after that, it didn't even die because even after all the internal things, we still had skirmishes because you are on a platform with MPP people and the kind of things that they say, the kind of things that even the NDC will not say those things, So those kinds of risks. Then you come to the main elections where you are staying, the kind of risks you take and all that. So having gone through all this, there's no way at this level, especially at this time, where there is a need to do what has not been done ever before in this country, where a political party spends 2 terms and wants to succeed itself with a new presidential candidate. That calls for some new ideas and some change of direction in terms of how the campaign should go, particularly in this environment where because of our pandemic and other issues globally, almost all governments are suffering. Governments are going to elections around this time and early part of next year. Almost all government lost elections. In 2020, for instance, there are a lot of things that people don't do. Almost all party in government that went to elections lost the elections. It is only the New Patriotic Party that won the elections because of the proper management of the COVID situation and how we mobilize and organize.
And you've been applauded for the margins by which you won that election. But let me find out. I'll get into our audience question. This is an audience-based show, so we need to get into the questions and involve the audience in this. But I want to find out if you would want to come back again as a national executive, if after we clear this hurdle amongst others. What's the next for your political career?
Well, for me, I think that I've contributed enough.
Okay.
And others should be given the chance to also try their hands. But we are not going to allow them to try their hands and fail. As a result, we will be there to make sure that things are done right. Come back as General Secretary, no.
As chairman?
I don't know what it is, but to come back again as General Secretary, no. I'm not
but
interested.
As chairman?
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, politics is timing as well. And sometimes events determines how to also take some decisions.
But what are your supporters saying? What are they telling you?
Oh, as for that, a lot of them pass, come, oh, you will take you national chairman, you this. No. I don't think that is important now. What is important and is before us is to make sure that we win the elections in 2024. It's going to be difficult. Difficult because of circumstances that we find ourselves. But it is possible we can. We can, because if we don't, all the dividends that we've chalked over the period, I don't think that our opponents have that kind of economic wisdom to be able to manage this nation. And
you have the economic wisdom to manage the nation that is the way it is as it stands now. We are experiencing a lot of economic challenges.
Just as almost all economies in the world are experiencing these challenges. If you check from 2016, 2017, when we took over, within just 3-4 years, we've increased our GDP to a level that has not happened before. Inflation was all-time.
Do you know the current inflation rate today?
I'll come there. Inflation was all-time single-digit for a period of time. Our deficit was down. Our growth was high. There is a lot of expansion in the economy. We've taken on board one of the most ambitious projects and programs like the free SHS, very difficult because we have to even find ways of even doing double tracking to make sure that our children will not suffer.
These are all past glories that you're dwelling on.
But that's where.
What is the situation today? Times are hard. Christmas was almost no Christmas for a lot of people.
Today, just as I said, is difficult for almost everybody. It's difficult also for everybody because of a lot of things that has happened. Now, this debt exchange program that government has embarked on is a very ambitious project that's going to affect a lot lot of people. But
now with the latest announcement, individual bondholders.
It is a decision that no government, if you just want to not to take risk, will not get into. But if you don't, you'll be overwhelmed by your debt, and you will not be able to sustain yourself. To the extent that if you are not very careful, even the bonds that you hold will become worthless. You understand? For instance, if you have a situation where within just about 4 months, your cedi had depreciated close to 50%, from 7 Ghana cedi to close to 14, 15. Do you know what it means? What it means is that, particularly with your external debt, if you are owing a total debt of, say, $20 billion, before then, just $140 billion could exchange to pay off the debt, assuming you are not paying interest. But for not contracting additional debt, just because of the depreciation of the cedi, now you need 280 billion Ghana cedis to be able to pay off a debt that has not increased, but because of the depreciation of the cedi. And you know, most of these debts are paid out of our internally generated income. And I remember in those days when John Mama was saying that Omar will now manage to don't pay and all that. We're almost getting there. You understand? We're almost getting there. So if you have such a shock within a very short time, it will affect your cash flows. There's nothing that you...
It's not as a result of your own mismanagement as a
what do you mean by mismanagement?
I'm asking.
Sometimes it's easy, and this ones, we do it as politicians. The moment we see that there's a challenge, then we'll quickly say, oh, it's mismanagement of the government, without providing any alternative, without looking at what is happening within and without. You know, go to other countries, even the more advanced countries, and the challenges are dire, to the extent that there are even other countries that citizens of their country cannot even pay for fuel for their heating.
But are you happy that your government tells us to tighten our belt, yet we don't see tightening on the belt on the part of the government? Look at the size of government, still the same. If you were there, what would be the advice that you would give?
I think
you
that...
need to be cutting the size of government to show the people that you are in this together.
I think that it's important to look at that. I think that it is important also to look at some expenditure of government that we can do without within this short time. Because, for instance, with this ambitious program of debt exchange, where, for instance, at some point, it included even pension contribution. And you see, let me tell you, there's a need for proactive communication of what it is. Because the assumption, even before it was taken out, the impression that was created was as if pension monies are going to be touched. Not necessarily so. It is the interest that comes with it that in 2023 is going to suffer, because it's going to, if they exchange it for it, it's going to be zero coupon in 2023. Yes, I agree. It's also affected, but not to the level that we were talking about. And in most of these things, sometimes you ask yourself, the ideal situation is for government to have this consultation before getting into. But if you've not managed a government before, you won't understand.
Well, now
the moment you start a conversation like that and not take a decision, it will lead to a lot of speculation that will bring the entire economy down. You understand? So most often, you take that decision, then still come back and engage. And government is engaging widely, to the extent that the pension aspect has been taken off, to the extent that now government is looking at...
because Labour had to.
Obvious. But why do you negotiate?
Okay.
If you go into negotiation and you arrive at a decision, it doesn't mean you loved it. You understand? You have to give, and the person must also take and all that. So now that is cleared. Yes, we are getting into a level now as we speak now. It is being said that individual bondholders whose bonds are held in trust by institutions can also be affected. Let us see how it goes. Because of that, government has extended the exchange period.
Deadline.
There is the need for better understanding and clarity in these things so that we can have the people on board. Because in all these things, if you sit back, I am a board member for GOIL. We had Deba last week. And workers there asked certain questions, the kind of answers that their leadership were giving clearly tells you that they themselves are not briefed. Okay. I think as for this one, it is the responsibility of government to strengthen its communication, particularly the finance people, to be able to explain so that all of us as individuals will understand where we are. You understand? Okay. So look at what happened with regards to data bank and other security.
Customers going there.
You understand? But the information went out, but not to the level of the understanding of customers and what it means.
Let's not leave our audience out of the discussion. Let's bring them in. I have a few of their messages that they've sent in. Let's start with JJ's message. It says, how are you getting by months after getting away from the political limelight? Do you miss your former role? That's JJ's question. We'll take a few of them. Rosling also says, are you in touch with the current executives and in particular your successor? Rosling, I think, has been touching a bit on that. Xavier says, you look back on that defeat. Did you expect it? Xavier, Okay. We have another one also from Jojo. The NDC has just concluded its internal elections. These are people you know. How do you rate their team? Should we take a final one, Loretta? Hamidu says the comparisons are going on already. What's your honest view about the NDC's team as against that of your party? Okay. That's it for now. Okay, so Loretta tells me we'll take that for now. So that's the first five questions. Maybe you would want to start.
What kind of
I see you smiling.
Yeah, what kind of comparison
Already,
are we talking about?
Already, they've been putting side by side at least. It started here. We've had that discussion, putting JFK alongside Fifi Kwete, putting Chairman Stephen Ntim against Chairman.
You know the mistake you are doing. You know a football team. You have goalkeeper for Hearts of Oak, goalkeeper for Kotoko, and you are putting them against each other. They will never even meet before the end of the 90 minutes. You have number 9 of Hearts of Oak and number 9 of Kotoko, and you are putting them together. That's not how it works. You understand? That's not how it works. You have a party in government, and you have a party in opposition. Also, party in opposition and their executives, their work is simple. Just sometimes make noise and go and sleep. It is exactly what happened when they were making that. But all these people are people that we've been working with over the years. Take Asedu Ketia, take who? Yamin, Information Region, Fifi Kwete, who again?
And then
who again?
We have the Deputy General Secretary, at least the current crop.
Who are they?
At least the top 3. General Secretary.
I'm saying these are
Chairman
people.
Does not worry your party at all.
These are people we work with. And when I listen to Asedu Ketia, for instance, and his explanation as to why they were not able to put together a competent team to collate their resource. If you listen, then you ask yourself, is there any basis to compare him to even anybody? Because you see, if you cause such a blunder, you can only correct it in 4 years' time. They caused it in 2016, and they were not able to correct it. They caused it again in 2020. So who are we comparing? Somebody who is incapable of giving job and monitoring and evaluating and making sure that because the job is time-bound, making sure that the necessary steps. You see, one thing you must do, it's not just a question of bringing a director of elections for him to be able to do. It must emanate from your understanding of what the whole thing even is about. The needed resources that need to go into training. Well, garbage in, garbage out. Training. Continuous training. Making sure that how can you sit back as General Secretary and tell me you weren't aware by the time you realized they couldn't collate the result? We even went ahead, in our case, even in 2016, we went ahead and did a mock elections. As if we were going to do the elections on X date. We did it. We had our polling agents at all the chosen constituencies that were doing the mock. We saw some challenges. We corrected. In 2020, Ashanti region, we had to repeat our mock there about 8 times.
You were prepared for the election.
To make sure that we were battle ready, we were fit for purpose. You understand? So if you are comparing such a person who is incapable of managing one major, you see, one thing is that.
So for you, the current leadership.
Wait.
So the current leadership.
When I finish, you understand what I'm talking about. First of all, it is not even right to compare in the first place. Secondly, even if you want to compare, you realize that you are comparing somebody who is totally inefficient, who cannot manage the system. It's only noise.
It's not a solid team.
No,
it's not a solid team.
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
So, such a person, there's no way you can compare him to
Chairman Stephen Ntim.
No, you can't do that. If you want to do General Secretary, Fifi Kwete, we've known him.
Fifi Kwete versus JFK.
We've known him. We don't know whether he's an operational person. Well, General Secretary is not the director of communication. He's not the propaganda secretary of the party. We have director of communication of the party.
At the end, as a director of communication.
Wait. You see, you are comparing jobs without specifying what the job description of the people are. You are comparing because you think that
You think he's not an operations person?
He hasn't done that to the best of our. Maybe what he can do is be sitting at Joy FM and City FM and be talking.
JFK is an operational
job goes beyond that.
Okay.
There are a lot of things that go into being a general secretary. And the operational work aspect of the general secretary, I doubt whether he's capable and have that ability. You may have that passion, which I give it to him. You may be very, very eloquent, which I give it to him. But after talking, how do you connect with Boadu Yoyo? How do you know the history of what goes into the election of a parliamentary candidate of X constituent? That is the difference. You understand? So for some of you who are doing this comparison, maybe I can forgive you because maybe you don't know what goes into it. But if it is about noise, as for noise, we can all hear, we can all listen, we can all understand.
So this current leadership is no headache at all for your party?
No, for us, because we've dealt with them, we work behind the scenes in opposition to beat them, one of the most humiliating defeats ever witnessed by a government in power in this country.
And you're able to do it again.
Yeah, and we're able to do it again. With such people,
they
were all around. Okay. You understand? They were all around.
But they were not
like
in
I told you,
positions.
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because I am telling you that, for instance, we just finished National Executive National Council meeting last Friday. And decisions are taken there. It is based on the decision that the General Secretary is going to implement. Yeah. So it depends on what goes into that decision. And it is not...
But going by that same analogy, is the same at that level that the General Secretary is going to implement. So what makes you think that?
But I'm saying that we've seen them.
Okay.
We've known them over the period. Just simple addition of results, votes that your people had toil to vote for you. You can't even put it together. What else can you do? So it's not as if you have new people. I listen to it. For me, I think that it is unnecessary to do any kind of comparison because the roles are different. Okay. If you're a general secretary in government, you have other responsibility of managing even your appointees as well. You have to attend to government issues. You need to do a lot. Okay. You understand? Whilst you are doing that, your opponent may be sitting at Joy FM and making noise, and people think that you must leave the equally important thing that you are doing to come and challenge him for noise making. No, it is not so. There are a lot of things that go into it than just the symbolism that you are seeing.
Okay.
And for me,
were you surprised that Asidun Ketia became chairman of the NDC?
I wasn't. The kind of campaign that he prosecuted created an impression that the then national chairman is malleable, can be bought by the other side, or is being bought by the other side. It's not. I don't think he said he was bought by the party. I have not bought anything from them. Bought by the other side. He's not a strong leader. He can't stand by his decisions. So I sat back and said, oh. And for example, maybe, I don't know what happened. He wasn't responding directly to those things and all that. So the kind of campaign that you can see that filtered into the kind of leadership that they had. That let us get people who are no-nonsense people, who are those who can tell it as it is and all that. That is fine. And I'm not even surprised because the character of the NDC is like that. Let's make noise. Let's say things that are not even true. Even if it turns out to be true, we don't mind. You understand? So for them, it suits them. You can't get such leaders in the new Petra. So no.
Okay. Well, we'll get into the final batch of questions, but I think JJ's question, the former part is asking, or the latter part is asking, do you miss your former role?
Oh, sometimes, yes, why not? I'll lie by not saying that. But I think I'm also relieved the kind of burden, so to speak. And it got to a point that even your attempt to explain things does not even go through, you understand? And when I also sat back, I was missing a lot. I didn't even know. I was there about 3 weeks ago. Then my son, who is around 6, 7 years, said, Dad, are you John Boadu or Nana Akufo-Addo? I said, why are you asking me that question? He said that one of his mates asked him whether his father is John Boadu or Nana Akufo-Addo. I said, what answer did you? He said, he doesn't know. You know why he said he doesn't know? He sees me once in a while. In the morning, some people come to my house, we do meetings, leave, come in a week's time. Sometimes you come, he's not even there, he's gone to school. So the interaction, I occasionally see people, then he will see you on telly, and all that. You can imagine what my elder children has gone through over the period. So sometimes if you are not very careful, you do these things. By the time you come home, you don't have any hope to attend to. So on that score, I think that all these things are things that God does to shape you in order for you to understand. Because if not, I wouldn't have known. Now I help him in his own work. I look at it, I go to his PTA meetings, I get in touch with the teachers to look at how best we can even help him in some subjects that he's incapable of appreciating and all that. And I think that we need that kind of
So your defeat has been some form of a blessing to you as well?
I think so. Okay. More so when, you see, the New Patriotic Party, if you want to work, you don't need so much title to work for the party. Okay. And if you are not very careful, and sometimes, and I have not come out to speak often because I need to give this new crop of leaders some time to find their feet in what. It's not easy. You are coming from outside, you don't manage the party before. It will take time for you to be able to understand the nuances of running the place.
Enough time for them to be able to bring the 8, you think?
No, because like I told you, we are not going to allow, even if they want to make mistakes, we won't allow them to make mistakes.
Okay.
So we will come back strongly. So those who are wishing that I come back, they want to see me often, that one, they are assured. Those who are praying I shouldn't come back, I'm sorry, I will be there.
Okay. Well, let's take the final batch of questions and then we can wrap up on this. We have Naki's question says, the year brought some unprecedented stuff. Your party in parliament demanding the sacking of a minister in government. How did you take that? That's Naki's question. Also, this one from AC. You were still General Secretary and attending cabinet meetings. What would be your advice to the president? Ken must go is the question. Do you believe the party and government has handled these matters well? That's AC's question. And then we have Grace. Are you one of those who think, like many, that the performance of Ken Ofori-Atta in his continuous stay in office will do great damage to your party's quest to break the 8? That's Grace's question. And then we have final one from Lovelace. How soon can your party wait to conduct primaries for a flag bearer, especially there are calls within your party to do things early to give both your leader and parliamentary candidates enough time to campaign? So these are some of the questions that will come in. I'll leave that final one, Lovelace question, because I know that there's this release from the party on the flag bearer race. So maybe we should take the Ken must go issues. The year brought, you saw what happened in Parliament, some 98 MPs calling for Ken to go, even though they did not partake in the censure motion amongst others.
Did you really see 98 or you were told that 98?
Of course, that's what their leadership said. That's what they said, yeah. You don't think it was 98?
Oh, no, I saw just about 20-something organizing a press conference. It can even be more than 98.
But even if it is 2 or 1, that's unprecedented.
It can even be more than 98. Whereas for you to say that it's 98 exact number is what I'm doubting whether it is that. It is unprecedented, but that should tell you what the New Patriotic Party is made up of. You understand? Maybe I may have handled it differently. Maybe it wouldn't have happened. But it's also, we should embrace some of these things. It has happened. How do you manage it? This is a situation where your parliamentarians are taking a position against government appointee. I think that it is important for us to take it in that light. The president has the authority to appoint or disappoint. They met him, he quickly rallied them round, offered an explanation as to what he wanted to do. You see, one thing that we are failing to recognize is that we, in this part of our world, think that if you are working and, let's say, the president removes you, it means that you were not doing well. Sometimes it is not so at all. Sometimes for the sake of ensuring that there's cohesion in government, government decide to get somebody to step aside, not because he's not performing. Typical example is this countryman who rose to the chancellor position in UK. They took a decision. It wasn't his own personal decision. The whole cabinet accepted it. They took the matter to parliament. The people of their country were not happy with the decision.
So why is your government not doing the same? Why is your government not doing the same?
Oh, but we are not UK.
Oh,
You understand? So we will take a different decision. But I'm only using that to prove to you that it is not because maybe he's not doing well. So his removal, assuming president decides to remove him, may not be because he's not doing well. But considering the circumstances we find ourselves, because he's the finance minister, there's no way he can run away from taking some of the blame. So we must look at it from that light. And sometimes the kind of argument we put for reshuffling, sometimes we get it wrong. Reshuffling does not mean people are not doing well, so they must go. Sometimes it helps in accountability. It helps the cohesion of government. Sometimes somebody who is doing very well can be moved to an area that there's a need for such expertise to be there.
But that's not something we've seen in this government, at least. We haven't seen that happen.
This is a developing economy or the democracy that we are all practicing. And you see, the way we look at things, it makes it very difficult for people, for instance, as I sit here as former General Secretary of the party, if I see something that is wrong in my party or government, and I point out, instead of it to be seen as a way of helping put government on its toes, I'll be singled out by the media, for instance, and be used as a banner and chastised by my own party people and all that. At the end of the day, it makes it very difficult for people in government or in party to be able to say things that they must say. But there are certain things that you cannot keep it within. So in my honest view, I think that the president has taken a decision. The decision is that they should allow the finance minister to
stay until after the IMF.
After appropriation. Maybe not until the IMF, but there was this, the SLA level, that's the
staff level.
The staff level agreement is done that and all that. And very soon, I think that we'll see what the president will do, because the president, I'm saying that the president is not somebody who speaks and decides to eat back his words. So I believe that we've gotten that far, and a decision will be made very soon.
And it's time. You think it's time for Ken to go?
Oh, it's not a question. You see, when you put it that way, that makes it very difficult.
Okay.
Ken can be removed as a finance minister now. He can be given a role behind the scene that will inure to the benefits of government and the people of this country more than even being a finance minister. You understand? So don't let us put it that way. I think that, in my honest view, it's becoming a distraction to the process and all that. But the president also, in the middle of such very delicate negotiation, you have to also pass your budget, you need to pass your appropriations.
And all that cannot be done without Ken Ofori-Atta. That's the key question for many. What exactly is it with Ken Ofori-Atta that he cannot be touched? That's the key question.
I'm saying that you are hosting this program. Is that not it?
Others can host it in my absence.
Others
can be
host
removed.
it
Yes.
when there's a need for them to change you. You
It
cannot
doesn't
be,
make me
no,
untouchable.
I'm saying that it cannot be that without you, others can. But you've not been changed yet. When management decides that you must be changed, it is at that time that you'll be changed. So the fact that you can be replaced and you've not been replaced,
but if the viewers keep on asking for my removal, we are here to serve the audience. You're here to serve the people.
Audience, yes, in your kind of business, you can say so. But in our kind of business, we've been given a mandate to deliver.
In our interest, you are delivering for us. We put you there.
I'm saying that to deliver. In your interest. And your interest is that we should deliver. We must listen. it does not also mean that everything that you say, because if you tell me what to do and I do it and I fail, will I say that I failed because you said I should do that? I cannot do that. I've been given a mandate not by just a few people or not by just majority, by the entire nation. So I think that we've moved beyond that. It's unfortunate we got to that level where our members of parliament have to publicly take the route that they took.
How would you have handled it if you were there?
It depends on the situation, you understand? Because some of these things, your network and your anti-line must be on the ground a lot, you understand? And depending on how early signals you had and assurances you are able to give at some point in time, we've gone through a lot of challenges like that before and all that, but that doesn't matter. What's important now is that we've resolved it to this level. President have decided to take a decision, and he will take the decision in the interest of all of us. And we know that it is a mandate of the people. That's why we are where we are. And that is what will satisfy and make sure that by the end of the term that the people of this country has given it, at least we can account to them. We don't come accounting to them and giving excuses that because people were clamoring for X, that's why I changed the person, and that I failed because I changed the person. No. If you want to take the decision, take the decision. And that decision is your decision and not the decision of other people. Yes, you must listen. Just the debt exchange program, we are listening.
Okay.
But any decision we take is our own decision and not decision just because somebody advised.
Well, in the last 5 minutes, let's focus on Lovely's concern about how soon the party is conducting primaries for flag bearer. We're told about it's November, the last statement that we got. Tell us about it. You are the national executive level.
Sometimes you need some background. For instance, in the year 1992, we held our primaries for our flag bearership race around October. We did elections in November, December. 2004, our presidential candidate went unopposed because he was the president. 2008, we did it around December 2007, just a year to the elections. 2012, we're in opposition. That is also dictated by the constitution of our party. Anytime we are in government, we should do it at least not more than 11 months to elections. So people are talking about early. There's nothing like early Congress. Early Congress for an election can be done today. It is not early. Well, our constitution is very clear about it. You understand? 2016, we did it around 2014, 2015, August thereabouts. You understand? So going by this in 2020, because of COVID and other things, and also because the president went unopposed, we managed it the way we did. So going by these examples, taking when we're in opposition, taking when we're in government, I think that the party think that maybe a quarter to the end of the year, within that time should be okay. But if you are taking that decision, you take that decision based on a lot of other decisions. Parliament, there are processes when they are sitting, other government activities and all that. So you realize that if we are taking that decision and you want to compare the work of a general secretary in government with the work of general secretary in opposition, just as the former president said, that it would be better to be a messenger in a ruling government than a proud, noisy General Secretary.
I'm not sure he added that.
Oh, I'm just talking. So this is my part. Than a proud, noisy General Secretary in the post. So you realize the president was comparing messenger in a ruling government to a proud, noisy propaganda General Secretary. You understand? So that is how it is. So you don't compare. You don't do that at all. Because there are a lot of things that has to be done. And it's incomparable at all. So like you know, so we are looking at that. Only that we've not concluded. The meeting, because there was a committee that did some work to brief us. There were a lot of contributions on the floor, particularly with whether or not to do orphan constituencies for parliamentary primaries first, or to do it together, or even do the sitting members of parliament with that of the presidential and all that. So the committee that was put in place, headed by McMeno, is going to sum up these views and ideas that emanated from the National Council meeting. And we will be reporting back sometime in January. Okay. So it is at that time that we can get concrete times and period for the parliamentary primaries and that of the presidential.
Okay. Well, but in all this, I know that whilst you were there, it was a no-go area for you in terms of whether you have any favorites in the race, because we've heard names come up at least. It's no secret now that we know that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be in the race. Alan Shemanting will be in the race. We've heard the Agric Minister, a number of them that have come up so far. Are you hoping that they will not go beyond maybe 5? How many are you hoping that
the way it is, we may not be lucky. It may go beyond the 5.
Okay.
And if it's so, it means that we must have a special delegates conference to prune down the numbers to 5.
Okay.
So we may have 2-tier elections, and because the names that you've mentioned are even more than 5.
I didn't even add Kene
Joe Garte, Kwabena Japan. I saw even flyers of Apreku. There's even a young man that is flying some flyers around and all that.
You have any favorites?
Oh, obviously, personally, I'll have favorites.
You're sporting
only
Dr.
that, only that. Just as I've done since the time I became officer of this party. I've never been internally political in these arrangements.
Because you were in national executive position, so you couldn't do
I'm
that.
still a national executive member.
But now,
I'm still a national council member. If you want to see me involved in this, then you see me as campaign manager of one of them.
Okay.
Not just a supporter, and I'm not ready to do that. So it's unfortunate. You won't get my view on this. But personally, I have a favorite. I'm looking at it from strategic standpoint. Okay. And who, if we put him or her, I haven't seen a woman, Emefa, you must be preparing to join the race, you know. If we put him or her there, we'll make the work easier for us to break the 8. And I'm looking forward to such a person.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight, Mr. John Boadu. We're indeed grateful. Thank you for spending your Christmas with us here on the program.
I think I want to use this opportunity to get our citizens and Ghanaians to know, yes, it's been a very difficult Christmas, but it is God that has kept us together. For the challenges that we faced towards the end of the year will have broken some countries. You understand? But we are intact. Okay. We hope that the good Lord himself manages our country going forward. And we are looking forward for Christmas next year that all of us will be smiling.
We're grateful. And that's it's for tonight's edition of The Probe. On behalf of the entire team, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I am Emefa Apawu. Another edition comes your way same time. Have a good evening.